The Dragon and the Dollar, Cryptactone, the silent meeting. In the heart of Beijing, before the city fully awakens, a meeting begins that will never appear in any official record. No press releases. No leaked memos. No photographs. This is how the world's most powerful financial decisions are made, in silence, in shadows, in rooms where even the walls are sworn to secrecy. A vast conference room. Mahogany panels line the walls. A table stretches impossibly long, polished to mirror brightness. 12 figures sit in leather chairs, their faces illuminated by laptop screens showing cascading numbers. The number glowing on every screen is the same, $3.2 trillion. To understand what that means, imagine every person in America handing China roughly $10,000. That's the scale we're talking about. This is China's foreign exchange reserves, the world's largest piggy bank. But unlike a piggy bank, you cannot simply smash it open and spend what's inside. Because most of this treasure is locked in one place, United States Treasury bonds. At the head of the table sits Minister Zhao Wei, a man who has spent 40 years navigating the treacherous waters of international finance. His colleagues whisper that he thinks in decades while others think in quarters. His calm face reveals nothing, but his mind is calculating 1,000 variables at once. Before we decide anything, Zhao begins, speaking in measured tones, we must first understand how we arrived at this moment. Because the question on the table tonight, why don't we simply sell? Seems simple. But simplicity in finance is almost always an illusion. Act 2, The Rise of the Dragon. To understand China's dilemma, we must travel back 4 decades. In the 1980s, China opened its doors to the world after generations of isolation. The country was poor. Infrastructure was crumbling. But China possessed something invaluable, hundreds of millions of workers willing to manufacture anything the world wanted to buy. The American consumer became China's greatest customer. Every toy, every television, every t-shirt sold in America sent dollars flooding back across the Pacific. In the 1990s, it was millions per day. By the 2000s, billions per week. The money piled up so fast that China faced an unusual problem. What do you do with a mountain of cash that keeps growing? Zhao continues his explanation. We needed somewhere safe. Somewhere liquid. Somewhere that could absorb billions without blinking. There was only one answer, US Treasury bonds. Not because we loved America, but because the entire world trusted American debt. That trust was the foundation of global trade. And so the loop was formed. China sold goods. America bought them with dollars. China took those dollars and bought American government debt. The money flowed in a circle that made both nations rich, both nations dependent, both nations trapped in an embrace they could neither escape nor fully trust. Professor Liang stands, adjusting his glasses. His hands shake slightly as he brings up a presentation. Let me show you what happens if we sell. A graph appears showing treasury bond prices. If we dump even 5% of our holdings rapidly, the market will panic. Prices will crash. But here's the trap, we still hold the other 95%. So we watch our own wealth evaporate in real time. It's like setting fire to your house despite a neighbor who lives across the street. Yes, the smoke bothers them. But you're the one who burns. Officials around the table exchange worried glances. One woman, Mai Lin, leans forward. There's another problem, she says. Market capacity. The global financial system simply cannot absorb a fire sale of this magnitude. It would be like trying to pour the ocean into a bathtub. Where does the water go? Nowhere. It floods everything. Mai Lin is not exaggerating. China holds roughly 7% of all US Treasury debt. In a market measured in milliseconds and micromovements, dumping hundreds of billions at once would be like dropping a boulder into a pond. The splash would sink everything nearby. Act 3, The Currency Trap. A younger official, Zhong Chen, stands abruptly. His passion contrasts with the room's measured tone. But what about our sovereignty? Our independence? If we sell, we free ourselves from American control. Several older officials exchange knowing looks. Zhao responds calmly. Tell me, Zhong, what happens to the yuan if we sell $1 trillion of assets? Zhong hesitates. It strengthens. Exactly. And what happens when the yuan strengthens? Here's the cruel paradox. A strong currency sounds like national pride, but for an export economy, it's poison. When the yuan rises, Chinese products become expensive. A television that cost an American buyer $500 suddenly costs $650. The orders stop coming. Factories go quiet. Workers lose jobs. And the global supply chain? It doesn't wait. It doesn't sympathize. It simply moves. Orders that once went to Shenzhen now go to Ho Chi Minh City. Contracts that supported millions of Chinese workers now support workers in Mumbai and Mexico City. The dragon doesn't roar, it whimpers as its lifeblood drains away. Mai Lin speaks again. Our greatest strength has always been our ability to remain competitive in global markets. Selling dollars undermines that strength. We would be committing economic self-harm in the name of financial independence. China's economy grew because it remained the world's factory. That position requires price competitiveness. Lose that, and you lose everything. The dollar reserves aren't chains, they're the engine coolant that keeps the machine running smoothly. Zhao stands and walks to a large window overlooking Beijing's skyline. And then there is the question of retaliation. The room falls completely silent. Act 4, the geopolitical chessboard. Finance is never just about money. It's about power. And power invites consequences. If we dump treasury bonds, Zhao continues, America will not simply stand by watching. Sanctions, asset freezes, capital controls, trade restrictions. We have billions of dollars in assets on American soil, bank accounts, real estate, corporate investments. All vulnerable. In 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the West froze hundreds of billions in Russian central bank reserves overnight. Not bombs. Not bullets. Just keystrokes and legal declarations. China watched carefully. The lesson was clear. Financial warfare is real, it's fast, and it's devastating. Professor Liang adds, there's something else. The Federal Reserve could simply buy back everything we dump. They have unlimited capacity to create dollars. They could neutralize our attack in hours. We take losses. They print money and stabilize the market. We wound ourselves. They recover. The Federal Reserve is the most powerful financial institution ever created. During the 2008 crisis, they conjured trillions into existence to prevent collapse. During the pandemic, they did it again. If China dumps bonds, the Fed could simply catch them all and continue operating as if nothing happened. Mai Lin speaks quietly but firmly. And we must ask ourselves, do we want to trigger a global financial crisis? Because that's what selling would do. Stock markets would crash. Currencies would swing wildly. Developing nations would face capital flight. Millions of innocent people, in Asia, Africa, Latin America, would suffer through no fault of their own. China's economy doesn't exist in isolation. It thrives on global trade, global stability, global cooperation. Break the world economy, and China breaks with it. The dragon cannot survive in a burning forest. An elderly economist who has been silent the entire meeting finally speaks. His voice is soft but carries weight. I have studied financial systems for 50 years. And I can tell you this, dumping is not strategy. It is tantrum. Real power is not in destruction. Real power is in building alternatives. The room absorbs his words. Zhao nods slowly. Act 5, the quiet revolution. But this doesn't mean China is doing nothing. Far from it. We have been reducing our dollar exposure for years, Zhao explains. But quietly, slowly, without panic, without headlines. We let bonds mature and don't replace all of them. We buy less new debt each year. We increase gold reserves. We expand trade partnerships that don't require dollars. A map of the world lights up with trade routes in different colors, some representing yuan-denominated trade, some in gold, some in digital currencies. In 2023, China bought more gold than any other nation in recorded history. Not because they fear collapse, but because diversification is survival. They've negotiated oil purchases from Russia and Saudi Arabia in yuan instead of dollars. They've built digital payment systems that connect dozens of countries without touching American banks. Mai Lin places an actual gold bar on the conference table. This is the future. Not dramatic. Not destructive. Just different. We are not trying to kill the dollar. We are trying to make it optional. The dollar has ruled global finance for 80 years. Not because it's backed by gold, that ended in 1971. Not because America is the largest economy, China rivals them now. The dollar dominates because of inertia, because of trust, because of infrastructure. Oil is priced in dollars. International reserves are held in dollars. When Bangladesh wants to buy from Brazil, they use dollars as the middleman. China's strategy is not to destroy this network but to build parallel pathways. To make the system multipolar instead of unipolar. To ensure that if one pathway closes, others remain open. Zhao addresses the room one final time. We will not dump. We will shift. We will diversify. We will prepare for a world where the dollar is still important, but not the only option. We will not act in anger or haste. We will act with patience and precision. This is how great nations think, in generations, not in quarters. The officials stand. Papers are collected. Laptops close. The room empties in silence. Only Zhao remains, looking out at Beijing's light stretching to the horizon. Epilogue: the global balance. Halfway across the world, American policymakers watch China's moves carefully. They see the declining treasury purchases. They notice the gold accumulation. They track the yuan-denominated trade deals. And they know, China is not attacking. China is evolving. An American analyst reflects on the situation. The question isn't if the system will change. The question is how fast and how peacefully. China can't dump without destroying themselves. But they can build alternatives slowly enough that the transition doesn't shatter everything. The era of absolute dollar dominance is quietly fading. Not with a bang, but with a whisper. Not through war, but through commerce. Not by decree, but by choice. In Beijing, Zhao looks at a world map showing dollar flows. In Washington, officials look at the same map. Both sides know the truth. The global financial system is not a zero-sum game where one wins and another loses. It's an ecosystem where stability matters more than dominance. China holds $3.2 trillion not because it trusts America, but because the world was built on that foundation. And for now, destroying that foundation would wound China more than any enemy. So the dragon waits, watches, plans, learns, and moves slowly, carefully, deliberately, changing the world one quiet step at a time. Building alternatives. Creating options. Preparing for a future where power is not concentrated in one currency, one nation, one system. Dawn breaks over both Beijing and Washington simultaneously. The same sun rising on two nations bound together by trade, debt, and mutual dependence, whether they like it or not. Because real power is not in dumping the dollar. Real power is in needing it less. And that kind of power cannot be seized in a moment of rage. It must be built, piece by piece, year by year, through patience, strategy, and the understanding that the greatest victories are won not on battlefields, but in silent conference rooms where the future is quietly negotiated. The dragon does not roar. The dragon waits.